Welcome to TrumpetStudio.com presents the Ultimate Trumpet Podcast.
The only show dedicated to the reality of playing, where we treat the instrument not as a mystery, but as a discipline. Whether you are running through your morning routine or prepping for a massive symphony gig, we've got your back.
Today in the studio, we're unpacking a truly fascinating piece of writing called Trumpet Endurance Mastery by Michael Droste.
Let's jump right in. We are tackling a topic that literally every brass player has to face at some point. Whether you're a college freshman logging 6 hours a day in the practice room, a weekend warrior, or a seasoned pro playing into your 50s and 60s. We're talking about physical burnout and embouchure longevity.
It's the elephant in the practice room. We often forget a fundamental truth. Playing the trumpet or any brass instrument is an athletic endeavor. If you play the piano, you press a key. A guitarist plucks a string. But as brass players, we are the instrument. The horn is just a piece of metal, an amplifier.
Exactly. The actual sound is generated by a fragile, incredibly complex network of facial muscles, tissue, and airflow. Because we rely on our physical bodies to create our art, we are susceptible to the exact same pitfalls as professional athletes. Overtraining, fatigue, tissue damage, and in the worst cases, career-ending burnout.
So today is all about practicing smarter, not just harder. We're going to give you the definitive guide to understanding the mechanics of your facial muscles, recognizing the warning signs of burnout, and building a sustainable routine.
Let's start with the anatomy of the embouchure. To understand why burnout happens, you have to know what's going on when you put that horn to your face. The embouchure is primarily controlled by the orbicularis oris. That's the complex sphincter muscle that encircles the mouth.
And let's be honest, Mother Nature did not design this muscle to have high-pressure metal rings driven into it for hours on end. When you're playing, you are demanding this tiny muscle to perform micro-adjustments at lightning speed, all while it's resisting the outward pressure of your air column and the inward pressure of the mouthpiece.
Right. And if you don't manage that process correctly, two things happen over time. First, microtrauma. Constant pressure restricts blood flow to the lips. Without proper blood flow, the tissue starts breaking down faster than your body can repair it.
Second is muscle fatigue. The supporting muscles in the corners of your mouth get exhausted. What happens then? You start relying more on mouthpiece pressure to hit those high notes, which just accelerates the tissue damage. It's a vicious cycle.
Which brings us to recognizing the warning signs. Physical burnout rarely happens overnight. It's a slow, creeping process. A lot of players just brush it off as a bad chop day. But if you ignore these symptoms, you are risking severe injuries, muscle tears, or even focal dystonia, which is a neurological condition where the muscles contract involuntarily.
So what are the red flags? First, watch out for chronic stiffness. If you wake up after a night of rest and your lips still feel stiff, unresponsive, or just dead, you are not recovering adequately.
Another huge one is the loss of the upper register. High notes are almost always the first casualty of a fatigued embouchure. If your reliable range suddenly shrinks by a third, your muscles are screaming for a break. You might also notice air leaks. When the corners lose their strength from overexertion, air starts leaking from the sides of the mouthpiece.
And finally, pain. It seems obvious, but brass players are notorious for ignoring it. Playing requires effort, sure, but it should never cause sharp, lingering pain in the lips or the teeth. If it hurts, stop.
Okay, so your chops start failing. Panic sets in. And Adam, we both know exactly what happens next.
Oh yeah, the Mouthpiece Safari.
Yes. When panic sets in, we inevitably turn to hardware. We convince ourselves that the problem isn't our fatigued embouchure or our lack of air support. No, it's the mouthpiece.
If I just switch to a shallower cup, my lead playing will be fine. Or, I need a wider rim to relieve this pressure, or let me try a heavier backbore to darken the sound.
It's a trap. While equipment absolutely matters, constantly changing your gear to solve a physical technique issue just confuses your facial muscles even more. It disrupts your muscle memory and usually creates entirely new problems. The ultimate fix for endurance and tone isn't found in a catalog. It's built in the practice room through a consistent, deliberate routine.
Which brings us to the core of longevity, building the ultimate warm-up and technical study. The secret to a 30-plus year playing career isn't just natural talent. It is the discipline of the daily routine. A proper warm-up introduces blood flow back into the tissue and wakes up the neurological connection between your brain, your breath, and your lips.
And listen, a warm-up is not a test of your range or your volume. It should be a gentle, structured progression. Start with airflow exercises. Before the horn even touches your face, get the air moving. Establish the engine of your playing so your lips don't do all the work.
Then move to mouthpiece buzzing. Short, relaxed buzzing helps center your pitch and engages the embouchure without the resistance of the horn. After that, long tones. They are the holy grail of chop health. Low, soft, sustained, long tones act like a deep tissue massage for the orbicularis oris.
Finish the warm-up with gentle lip slurs. Slowly expand your range, ensuring that your corners are supporting the pitch changes, not your arm pulling the horn into your teeth.
Once you're warmed up, how you practice dictates how long you can play. Mindless repetition is the enemy of endurance. You need to treat your sessions like interval training. I love the rule of halves. For every 20 minutes of intense playing, the horn comes off the face for 10 minutes. Use that time to study the score, listen to recordings, or work on fingerings.
And always prioritize efficiency over force. When you're working through an ultimate technical study, let the air column do the heavy lifting. The less your embouchure has to work to manipulate the sound, the longer it will last.
We also need to talk about the reality of human biology. Your body changes. As you enter your 50s, 60s, and beyond, the connective tissues in your face lose some of their natural elasticity. Recovery just takes a little longer.
But that doesn't mean you can't play at an elite level. Players who maintain top-tier abilities into their later decades do it by adapting. They become absolute masters of efficiency. They rely heavier on breath control, their warm-ups become more deliberate, and they stop trying to muscle out the high notes. Adapting your technique as you age isn't a sign of weakness. It's the hallmark of a master musician.
Absolutely. And that leads us to our final tip, the cool down. It is your secret weapon. If the warm-up wakes the muscles up, the cool down puts them to bed properly.
If you stop abruptly after a grueling 3-hour gig or a heavy recording session, you trap lactic acid and swelling in the lips. Spend just 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the day playing soft, descending scales and low pedal tones. This draws blood back into the bruised tissue, flushes out the fatigue, and sets you up for success the next morning.
Protecting your embouchure is a lifelong commitment. You have to put the ego aside, trust the process of a structured daily routine, and listen closely to what your body is telling you. Avoid the gear trap, focus on your air, and respect your recovery time. That is the blueprint for a lifetime of incredible music.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Ultimate Trumpet Podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and tell others.
Yes, please subscribe, rate, and tell others about this great new resource. If this deep dive into applied acoustics got you rethinking your setup, remember that new gear only magnifies your daily habits. To really build that symphonic engine or lead scalpel endurance, you need the right fundamentals. Exactly. Head over to trumpetstudio.com to grab your copies of the Ultimate Warm-Up, the Ultimate Technical Study, and if you've got gig season coming up, the Ultimate Wedding Book.
Thanks for hanging out in the studio with us today. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Now go practice.